when I started Tubayo, it was simply the idea was so exciting. I knew it would solve something in our community. I started off with just buying the domain. I was like, at least I can afford the $13. I bought the domain, tubayo.com. Then afterwards, I looked for my friend my family friend who had done computer engineering and computer science. I sat with him, we created like a one-pager. And then I would move everywhere and tell everyone about it. Before you know it, someone else joins. And like that, we built this complex operation. I think the most advanced AI building in Uganda. We had filled up the vans, the coasters, the buses, the airline, we couldn't, but like we had gotten a big number. The next thing for us to do then was a rocket now. So that's how we set the goal to fill up, to do a rocket, a trip to Mars from Africa.
Hey, UG boy, let's talk to them. Let's talk, chicka, let's talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's talk, chicka, let's talk to them. Yeah, I'm from a beautiful place, the Pearl of Africa. Hailing with a 256, it's in my blood. That's a gem where the mountains rise, with stories untold. The tapestry of cultures unfolding, so vibrant and bold. A symphony of stars, a celestial light. The drums beating, echoing through the night, just like a beacon of light. A reflection that's coming up from the Nile. I'm flowing straight into the heart of Africa with timeless stories untold. What's up, dog?
Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Today on the podcast, I'm joined by a visionary entrepreneur, a leader in tech-driven travel innovation, and one of the most influential voices in Uganda's digital space, Namanya Brian. He is the CEO and founder of Tubayo Travels, a platform that's transforming how people experience travel across Africa, making it accessible, authentic, and local. His work is not just about booking trips, it's about building a movement that celebrates culture, connection, and community. Brian's impact has not gone unnoticed. He was crowned the Technology Influencer of the Year for 2022 and 2023, solidifying his place at the forefront of Uganda's tech and innovation sense. Today, we're diving into his journey from building Tubayo from the ground up and navigating the startup world to inspire the next generation of African tech leaders. Brian, welcome to my podcast, brother.
Wow. Where did you find all of that? No, I'm happy to be here, bro. I'm happy to be here.
Recently, I've started to add something to my podcast. Every time I learn, it's been a journey on this podcast on what I can change, what I can be better.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Part of the things I wanted to add to my podcast is to take time to respect the people that I have on the podcast.
Yeah.
To do the research
Yeah.
and create an introduction for them. And these are things you've done. These are things you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not that it's out of the blue, but it takes an extra step for you to do the research to know what they're doing and what. So that's where the introduction came from. So
No, I appreciate it.
If I've lied, you can
No,
tell the
that's
people,
it. I like it. No, and I appreciate it. And I want to tell you, I am 100% fully focused on this podcast right now. It's how much I respect the work you've done. And I want to give you my entire attention to just listen in and let's have a good conversation.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'll take back, I think 2 years ago, 2 years or 1 year and a half, I learned about Tubayo through Boris, and I had a conversation with Boris about it. But I've always wanted to sit down with you as the CEO of this company and to just pick your brains on how this whole thing started your life. People see you guys and we see you, but we don't really know the behind the scenes of who Brian is, how he came up with Tubayo. And I've always wanted to have that conversation. But it wasn't until last year in January when I had my first live podcast. That's the first time I met you when Tubayo partnered with me on my live podcast. That's the very first time I met you. I had you on the live show. You talked about Tubayo, but I'd never had you on the podcast. And that's the reason why I wanted to have you here.
Yeah.
How was your experience at the live podcast? I never got to talk to you about it after it was done?
It was beautiful. I think you pulled such an interesting crowd. I noticed there were like so many creators there, but also for me, it was just how much you love the work that you do. I could see the heart you have in every detail, my brother, every detail, from the backdrops to the effort you put in to just like almost relate in such a personal way with everyone that day. And then I also started to learn about you because I think for me, I was really drawn by that passion and heart. And then I followed your pages. I'm like, oh, wow, the guy is actually really, really passionate. And I think then you had probably won podcast of the year. Yeah. But I don't think it was as big as it is now. But the way you did your work, it's like you had 1 million views, bro. Yeah. So for me, really, that heart, I just got to be in a space where I got a chance to see that, with that first live podcast. Yeah, that was my experience, honestly. Just seeing heart.
I love that. I love to hear those kind words from you, and it's amazing to hear somebody who sees it from the back, because I do everything here.
Yeah.
I edit, I do all that, but I never get to see it from a viewer's perspective, from what other people see. So I appreciate that, and I'm not spilling anything, but something will come up to another live podcast on the way coming, and hopefully we'll give you the information when it's ready to come out. We appreciate people who subscribe to this podcast, people who watch, view, share, and this is how we grow. I want to thank the people that have subscribed so far. It's a steady progress. We are growing. Instagram, every social media platform. I appreciate that, and we continue to do our best. So if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, this is your opportunity to join the family, support, and we're going to bring you the best conversations. The first segment that I usually do with my guests is called This or That. Okay. From what you do, the things these are things you're associated with. I'm not asking you anything out of the blue. It's something that you go through in a day-to-day life.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a lot about Tubayo and what they do, and some of these questions are from Tubayo's activities and things that they do. A city staycation or a countryside adventure?
A city staycation.
Why city?
I think I'm still so young and I like energy. In fact, people have always asked me my favorite places to go visit, and New York comes number one. I'll name cities. Yeah. Nairobi, London. I just love cities because of the pace, the energy, and just knowing that people are making moves. For me, that excites me. Yeah, I remember like one of my best experience has been just Wall Street. Yeah, I love the city.
I think I saw the picture.
Yeah,
and actually, I think I have a question about that. We're going to talk in depth of that exact point that you bring up.
Sure.
Instagram Reels or Twitter Threads?
Instagram Reels. I'm an Instagram person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Instagram.
I love Instagram too.
It's like no matter what.
Yeah, not so much pressure. It's good.
I use all the social media, but Instagram for me, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, I think it's that fast cut, honestly. Yeah.
But I've realized lately, and this might be just because of me, it's easier to grow on TikTok than any other social media platform. I don't know what you think about that.
From a product manager point of view, I think TikTok has got it right. Like, people get on social media to grow, to reach a wide audience. So as a social media platform, you want to be able to give that to your customers, to your users. I think TikTok has got that really well, because there's no point on getting on social media and I can't easily get 100 likes, yet I'm following 1,000 people, or I don't know, 5,000 people follow me. It doesn't make sense. So I think TikTok got that right, that they need to distribute your content widely. Yeah, I want to believe it's easy to grow on TikTok.
The monetization too, and people, we've had this conversation with when I had Kansime and Kansime on the podcast. We're talking about how people are not getting paid in Uganda and all that, and we're not going to dig into that. But what I've realized is like you can easily make money on TikTok than any other social media platform. My first TikTok view that you hit 1 million views, I got over. I mean, I think they put some science to it that you can have 1 million views, but still not get too much money.
Okay.
I think they base on the engagement and the comments. That's how I sensed it.
How much
because so The one reel I did, it was like, I think they sent me like $200. No, it was just $200
Oh, that's nice, man.
for a million views.
That's really
It wasn't bad
Yeah.
because that was like a 1 minute. So you think about it as like, that was a 1 minute and 1 minute and 30-second video.
yeah.
So if you can make 1 minute and 30-second video for $200, that's almost a million or something like that in Uganda shillings.
800.
So it's not bad.
That's not bad.
But Instagram, I've been doing videos. In Instagram, they send you like maybe $50 or something like that. It's not so
Yeah.
it's harder on other platforms.
Yeah, because these platforms are benefiting off the work that you guys do, that everyone does, posting on them. I think actually the future, you see, even at Tubayo, this is something we are going to do in the near future. Just being on our platform, we're going to have to pay for that. We're going to have to pay
Right.
the hosts on our platform as they keep engaging.
Yeah, it's something good. That's something good. And we're gonna get into the app too. Actually, you get to talk more about it.
Yeah.
Solo travel or group travel?
Ooh, right now solo travel.
Yeah, sometimes solo travel is good. Sometimes group travel is good, depending on the mode you're
that's how it
in.
would
Yeah. Late night brainstorming or early morning hustle?
I think I go for the early morning hustle. I just love the
Yeah.
execution.
Are you a morning person?
Yeah, I love the execution part.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking what it could be, I love to get it.
Yeah.
To get in the work. Yeah.
I think I also like the morning hustle, like just get up and get ready to get it, because the late night, depending on what you've been doing throughout the day, like at late night you'll be tired, you'll be thinking about this, but in the morning you just from bed sleeping,
Yeah.
like start fresh.
Yeah. I think
Just started.
yeah, I would do that as well.
Tech conference or culture festival?
Tech conference.
Why?
That's my life's work. Tech. I am so fascinated at what technology can do. It's really a tool for life. The more innovation, it improves just everything in our lives. So I just want to be in that space of what's being exhibited, what are the new trends. I love technology.
No wonder you were the tech influencer of the year.
Yeah.
That explains it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get to the main session. This is where we're going to dive into some of the works you've done. So
Sure.
we talk about Tubayo. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. But I'll start off with when I asked you the syndication or a countryside adventure, you said syndication, and one of the cities you mentioned was New York City. You got an opportunity to visit the US, and then part of the things you went to Wall Street, Times Square, and Stanford. I'll start with Stanford. What took you to Stanford?
So I got in on an executive program at Stanford. Yeah.
How was the experience there?
Well, it's just to. So here's the thing. I always set the highest possible aim in whatever I want to achieve, and I try to go for
What's
that.
that?
So the thing with Stanford, I just wanted to know what is it like at the campus.
Right.
What is it like to study? There was an option to do a Stanford Seed program, which you probably do online and here in Uganda.
Yeah.
That's not what
Time.
I wanted to be in the real thing.
Yeah.
So
You want to be in the ground and the hustle.
Yeah.
I know you also got to Times Square. It's crazy. Times Square is crazy. I've been there.
yeah,
The cars, the buildings, the
the
lights,
lights,
the people.
wow. Yeah,
How was your
and
experience there?
let me tell you, the energy, and I think for me, honestly, God was so good. I just loved everything around New York. Around that time, I got a chance to speak on a panel still during the UN week at the UN headquarters, hosted by the mayor, Eric Adams. And then I was just like next to, a king from Angola, a couple of ministers across Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. And after that, I get to Wall Street, just, what we've seen in the movies, like analysts and, rushing the investment, the investment bankers, running up and down, just making things happen, and like just walking through it and experiencing that. For me, that was magical. There's no way I can explain it to someone. And just the energy in New York, like everything is just money. Kaching, 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 everything. Water, $25. Everything is just money. I just loved everything. I love the whole experience. And also just seeing Tubayo on Times Square. on the
That was
billboards.
the next thing I was gonna come to, like Tubayo to the world. It was
Yeah.
on the billboard. That's like every person's dream. I won't say everyone because
Yeah.
not everybody is into that. But like
Yeah.
that's a dream come true
Yeah.
to see Tubayo on the
Yeah.
screens of
Yeah.
Times Square.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel, and how did that come about?
I think for me, it is that I have, like I said earlier, I have the belief that if you're aiming at the highest possible goal, that's all you have to
Mhm.
focus on, and every other thing will just like fall into place. And when I
Right.
started Tubayo, the goal was to be this number one brand across the world. And I'd never even been out of the country when I started Tubayo, out of Uganda.
That's crazy.
But like to see it, and I started comparing it to the likes of Amazon, the bigger
Mhm.
marketplaces like Airbnb and all, and just seeing that we are now showcasing and at the same billboards they use as well in the biggest business
Mhm.
capital of the world. I think for me, I was just grateful, honestly. And it showed me that we can do everything.
You make a point. It might have been skipped by the listeners, but you said something like, I'd never been out of the country when I said Tubayo. And Tubayo is all about travel.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you have to have done something to do something.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of kids like think, oh, I don't have that. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah.
That does not mean that you cannot do what you want to do because you've never done it. There's always a first time. And I picked up on that when you said it. But also that comes with the award you won, even like winning. I said in the introduction, the tech influencer of the year of 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
These awards I said like they certify your work, or it's like a reward of the hard work that you have done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same year I was with Pulse Uganda for my podcast.
Yeah.
And I'd never done a podcast before. I didn't know what to do. Everything that I'm doing now is self-taught. Like I'd never had a podcast. It's just from I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And getting that award. How was that for you, winning that award to the work that you wanted to do and the dream? And I know you still have a long way to go, but like for what you have done at that stage.
I think, of course, I'll tell you, it was humbling for the work we do. Pulse is a very reputable brand across the continent. So getting an award from Pulse was such a major one for not myself, but the entire team as well. And really, it was just this confidence in the tech vision that I have for transforming Africa. It was a nice one.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I always love it when people's hard work get rewarded. It kind of like fuels you.
Yeah. In fact, I could get these, whenever you have like moments of doubt, I start to think to myself, Brian, you are the tech influencer of the year 2022.
You know, right?
Like there's tech and then there's the person that influences it. And I wondered for 2022, 2023. And in 2024, I was nominated for the entire continent now. It was no longer about Uganda. It was now tech influencer for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that is such and it's those things, it's not even it's a major thing for me, honestly. Yeah. And I like looking at the award.
I like how you guys with the Tubayo team have helping even other youth in Uganda, and we're gonna get deep into it.
Yeah.
But like the Tubayo is not just like a one small thing. Like it's a broad thing with a lot of helping the youth, helping everybody, helping schools. But what do you think it takes to build a strong and authentic personal brand in tech today, like Tubayo?
No, I think purpose. We're going to be defined so much by our purpose and the values, that we show in our work. Yeah. I think we've been very clear on that from the start. For example, our values are love and work. So everything we do should be able to motivate one another to acts of love and great works. Like it needs to inspire you to do, even more. It needs to inspire the other person. Yeah. So purpose has been the real core for building our brand. It's why we wake up every day.
But in the same line with that, it might be like a behind story that you can tell us. What inspired you to start Tubayo and the very first time? And what are some of the challenges you had when you're starting it? You can just give us the behind the scenes.
So I started Tubayo in 2018. But before that, I was working at NASA Road doing printing and branding. I was really good because I really used to do a lot of research. I loved the internet. Most of the guys at NASA back then didn't really care using the internet. They only used it to open emails and then they removed the modem. But I had a smartphone and I could quickly search in case I needed to brand like a business. I could quickly search, look at the big global brands in the same line of work. And then I copy and see what to, get ideas to design for the Ugandan brand. And so I used to do really nice work. So I started it while at campus. And it seemed okay because that man I was getting was okay. It was all right to, take me through campus. I was able to buy a nice smartphone, buy a laptop, just live a good life. But shortly after, when we were done with school, the guys I'd gone to school with started to, look so different now because they had gotten in the corporate world, the top audit firms, they were with the ministries. And I think they had access to financing. So they started to look good. And for me, I would, carry my itchy bag, go up the arcades,
Run to
do the
town.
receipts, get business cards, and then you go and they pay you 20K. And I remember feeling so frustrated by that, just realizing that there's no money here. And I came to that realization after studying. I was like, okay, what if I work really hard? That means I will be like the best company here, because you're defined by your environment. And I remember studying the companies that were, doing really well. And there was, I think, an Indian company called Graphic Systems. It was okay. I looked it up. It had been around for about 30 years. The money they had wasn't as inspiring, even though they were really, doing well. Me, I wanted money that can buy you like a whole city, can buy you a private jet. There's no one with a private jet there. I'm like, okay, cool. Which other company? I looked up New Vision. New Vision is a public-private company. So I thought to myself, in order for me to be like this, I still need government's hand. And what are the odds of that happening? So really, I concluded that it was going to be so hard for me to build the kind of wealth I want to build from there. And I remember one day I was just searching and playing around on the internet, and I searched what the richest people in the world do. And the top 5 richest people were doing something with the internet and technology. And for me, that was like a light bulb moment of, do something with the internet and technology. That was it. So quickly I asked myself, what kind of business are you going to build in this regard? And then I also make some research of what is the fastest growing industry. And I discovered travel was the fastest growing industry before COVID. Everyone was just planning of how do I make money and travel. It was now a thing. And when I, look back, I realized that our great-grandparents didn't move much. They probably moved from one trading area to another. Our parents moved from their villages to the cities and probably had done a country or two. And our time, you found at our age then by like 20, a kid has been to like 3, 4, 5 countries. And so by the time they're 50, they'll probably have traveled to about 20, 30 countries. So I knew like travel was just going to be growing. And I decided to start a company in that context to create a solution that would enable many Ugandans to travel and plan a trip across the continent.
I love that idea very, very much because recently I have a Tubayo app on my phone.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know, Sylvia. Let me even give. Let me give you. Sylvia science. I don't know if I don't know if my camera is too far. No, let me actually use this one. It's. Right there.
Wow, it's right there.
It's
beautiful.
It's in my phone.
Yeah, thanks.
But I've had it for over 2 years now, I
Oh
think,
wow.
because we're also in the Boris. And
Yeah.
what I like and why I was saying that was it's something that I really loved what you brought to Uganda, because I could brag here that, hey, even in Uganda, you can order your house or like a room
Yeah.
where you can stay, like
Yeah.
Airbnb style.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of people that have recommended that
Thank
app. It
you.
was like, oh, you're going to Uganda, you need an Airbnb. Well, you can use this, you can use that. Even recently, my dad was calling me, and they had like a missionary coming to Uganda, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm trying to find a house for them. Don't stress. I forwarded him the Tubayo app,
Oh
and
wow.
it's just something that I really loved. That I love this idea because,
Thank you.
and this takes me back to the whole reason why we're having this conversation or this podcast is I have a lot of people listening from America, and
Sure.
some of those people still have that mentality, like Ugandans still live in thatched how the huts.
Yeah.
But we have moved, we have innovated. Like having a conversation with you, I know my friends are gonna tune into this podcast. Like, oh man, this dude has a company in Uganda. They do Airbnbs, they do travel, they do this, they do that. Some people don't know that these things are happening in Uganda because they're still looking at us in like back old days.
Yeah.
But to go back is that's what I like, that now I can just tell them, hey, no, don't stress. Just you can book your house here, you can book this on here, and you made things very simple for the
Yeah.
people in Uganda. I really appreciate that.
No,
But
thank you.
not only fun stuff and travel and do that, you've now gone into like recently I saw a partnership with UCU to build the biggest education fund on the
Yeah.
continent.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing about that? Because now that goes into education where you're helping people in through education. Can you explain on that too?
So we do a lot of work serving entrepreneurs here in Uganda, in Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And one thing I've noticed is these guys start right from school, and there's a need to why they get to start these businesses. So most times they're just trying to like cover up for their tuition. So they end up in business, without the training, because it's just until recently that the curriculum is changing. But before that, there was just no training on business. So they just jump into it. But with the one goal of how can I make some money to, pay my tuition or sustain myself. And so we noticed that there's a big gap there. And they're very talented. But you know what happens is they get distracted as they get to do so many of these things. And so many drop out. So for me, the fund is really towards how do we support the right education and the right talent, to first finish that level as well. So there's just so many reasons, honestly. Yeah. So we're creating
Yeah.
a very sustainable fund that's going to be used to cover up for students who are missing on their tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to give you credit where it's due because, like I said, and I keep repeating it, it's not just for a business. It's a business, but it's also like helping the community, serving the community. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate that because our community needs that. Like as much as we need to build something good for us, but also bring us up with the communities is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's through Tubayo that I first had that line of build Uganda. No, buy Uganda, build Uganda. I
Yeah,
think
builder
it's through.
Africa, builder, yeah.
But what does innovation mean to you? And like, how do you keep Tubayo ahead in such a competitive, changing industry?
Innovation is accountability. It is showing increase. So one of the things we are supposed to do at Tubayo is to keep innovating, to keep and innovation is really finding efficient ways, less time to do something, less cost to achieve something. We have to constantly be on that pursuit. And I'll tell you, if you go back maybe 10 to 15 years ago, some of the companies that we really admired, probably got very complacent and didn't innovate enough. And you know what happened? They got out of the market. So when I have those stories at the back of my mind of you could be a market leader, but if you don't innovate fast enough, someone will sweep you out. Look at Nokia.
Right.
Look at BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
Even here locally, we had stories of, look at WBS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't innovate,
Worried.
yeah,
Zane.
AfriCell just woke up one day and didn't even sell it, just closed operations. So if you don't innovate, and that's innovation is about, uh, uh, you know, using technology to reduce your costs and gain match time, but also serving the customer better. So at Tubayo, we are always thinking, what more are we innovating? What costs are we reducing? What waste are we reducing? And how can we provide a service in a better way? So one of the things we're working on is the Tubayo AI. And for me, I got the confidence to really pursue this with everything in me when I visited one of the biggest companies here, and I checked out their business department, and they have about 300 business development, individuals working there. And I thought to myself, what would it take for us to get to these people? It would mean so much time. And I noticed we don't have that much time and that kind of investment to onboard as many employees to do the same kind of work. And so, thank God for AI. Now with AI, you can build an agent that can do 1,000 people's work. So I told them the only chance we have as a company against that big brand is uptaking and using AI. So we then developed an AI-led strategy for the next phase of growth. So everything we're doing, we're applying AI, whether it is and we have to make sure we identify the repetitive tasks that we all do and apply AI so that we are as efficient in our time. I want to be able to do 1,000 people's work. So if I have a team of 20, we should be able to do, about 20,000 people's work. So we are going to announce those tools soon, and we're excited for the Ugandans and Africans to see what we've been building.
And that's a good thing about having young people into entrepreneurship now, because I was having a conversation with Judith Hurd, and she mentioned something of that, like it's good now that we have young people into these businesses, young people coming up in like politics, in everything, because they bring a fresh mind. Because if we stick to people who like old style, and that's one thing I appreciate about Tubayo, because you see what's changing in the country and try to add that to Tubayo. What do the young people want nowadays? What the young people are into these days? And then you add that to that. And with your app that we were talking about earlier, it has a lot of things. Like, I didn't know there was go-karts in Uganda till I was on the Tubayo app. That's how I can tell you. Like,
we have close to 5,000 experiences that you could do around this country.
And it is fun, and it's crazy, that app. And that was one of the apps. Like, I need this app on my phone. And everybody who is listening, you do need this app on your phone. People who are planning trips to Uganda, people who are like, oh, what do I do when I go to Uganda? This is an app that you need to have on your phone, and you tell somebody about it. Speaking of the activities, one was the go-karts. How was the activity of the go-kart? And also, I want you to tell me your experience about the bungee jumping that you did.
I love the activities. I don't think life is really about solving problems all the time, I think we need to wake up one day just excited to do the stuff that we love, stuff that is going to uplift our energies. And so that is why I love the activities. And I think so many Ugandans should really just jump on this, and Africans, and so bungee in particular, it's I just wanted to face that fear, making that stupid decision to go about, I think it's about 70 meters high and throw yourself off the cliff. And I remember just stepping at that tip and thinking to myself, Brian, this is stupid. But when I flew over and fell into the Nile, I was glad I had done it. I can't explain how. I feel like, I think so many things in life are like this, the idea might
Would you
seem
do it
stupid,
again?
but if it's fun, do it. I don't know, but I don't know. But it's a crazy activity. Have you done it before?
I've not done it before, and I've
Man.
had few people on the podcast that we have talked about the bungee jumping. I don't know how it comes up in the conversation, but whenever I talk to somebody who has done it before, I'm like, I can never do that. I don't think I can.
I think you should.
But
Just you need to create a list.
The-
What's the most
the
exciting yet could seem dangerous kind of activity you've done?
oh, exciting! I did zip lining. At first, I was scared of that, but it wasn't too bad. Zip lining is not.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
What's the dangerous activity I've done? I don't think I have done actually any, but I thought I would try skydiving. See, I'll do skydiving,
I think you should.
but
think
I
that's
don't. I don't think I'll do bungee jumping.
skydiving is fair enough. Do skydiving.
Would
Yeah.
you? Would you do skydiving?
I don't think so. I think after I've made like $1 billion in the fund, in a trust fund for my family and all, I think I can then try.
So, do you
skydiving.
think skydiving is more dangerous than
I think
bungee
so.
jumping?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, it's higher,
Yeah.
definitely. Like it's higher than bungee jumping.
You're trusting a human being. I don't know if you get to
Yeah.
to jump by yourself. I don't know. Oh my God. So the thing with bungee is you're tied on a rope,
hmm
and at least
Mhm.
this rope has been tested to hold you. It's tied right up
Mhm.
there, and one goes around your waist. I can trust that. But
Oh.
with skydiving, there's
So-
nothing to to hold, and
It's funny because that's the same argument I have for skydiving. Is like I'm going down with somebody
with
who
a
has done
parachute,
this
somebody,
multiple
human
times.
being.
Yeah, like a person. Yeah.
You know how many errors human beings have. I want to trust in technology, not the human being. The guy could be absent-minded just 1 second.
But I feel like I'll be content if we're gonna die. We're gonna go together. Like if you can't help save me, we're gonna go together.
Oh wow, I'm not convinced.
No, I don't know. Bungee jumping, I really don't know. But maybe as life goes
Yeah.
on, my heart will get soft enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to touch on was Tubayo Market Day. I've had a lot of testimonies from people who are having businesses,
Yeah.
and this is what I was telling you about the impact you're doing to the community. There's a
Yeah.
lot of one of my friends actually, Tracy Mimi, who has a Merachi store, was one of the testimony of the people that have benefited
Oh,
from the
wow.
Tubayo Market Day. Yeah, and Tracy is a longtime friend. We went to school together, and she's part of my team.
Yeah.
She's a good friend of mine. But how have you heard from other people, and how has the market day impacted the people you've worked with?
So we set out to be a useful company, and so that defined our purpose. And we serve individuals, businesses, schools, the country. This really got us to define what kind of activities would we do, that would create impact in all these different stakeholders. And and we came up with the market day, and just seeing how many businesses have gotten in there.
Mhm.
I remember businesses that didn't even have business cards. Like they were telling you, it's the first time. Yeah, it's the first time I'm showcasing this product, and today they have stores around town. I'm really touched by all of that, and there are so many. I feel like Tubayo has been that platform for the new age businesses in this country.
Yeah.
We've probably seen close to 5,000 businesses go through the Tubayo Market Day.
Not only that, not only just the people with their businesses, but I had Mike Mungu on the podcast, and I was talking to him about his journey in music, and he mentioned like, Tubayo was my first opportunity for me to showcase my music, to sing to the people. So like you see, it's not only the people using the app, the musicians, people who come there. Like it's a great experience, and this is the whole point too. Like I want to have this conversation with you because for you to, I know, but like to hear these stories of these people, how this has impacted their lives and how people have changed and how that is helping the community?
No, yeah. So many things have come out of the market day.
Mhm.
For us at first, we thought it was simply creating a platform to avail market access opportunities to the small businesses. But we've seen them grow big and they're not small anymore. We've seen guys
Mhm.
come with passion to start hosting as an MC and build their confidence.
Mhm.
And today they are some of the biggest MCs. We've seen photographers start from there, and today they're the biggest photographers in the country. Artists, um, uh, yeah, there's just so many people that have so much has come out of the market there.
So you talked about the idea you had behind starting Tubayo, like your research. But do you think there's anything from your background personally or your earlier experiences that has shaped your entrepreneurial journey and the vision of Tubayo?
Of course, I remember asking myself that question of what could really have driven this passion for technology. And I remember in my P4, that was the first time I interacted with a computer. When
Mm.
primary, they tell us there's a computer lab, and I was so excited. We get in there, and the whole time we're just looking at this computer. We didn't even touch them. I think what we did was power on, and that was it. But I was so
Mm.
excited. And I remember in my O level at Ontario School, uh, I didn't find this modern computer lab with LED, monitors. And I think what was interesting during that time was Facebook had just launched globally, I think a year or two. So we're among the first people to join, in high school. I joined this Facebook platform and I'm excited by it. But I noticed it was serving mainly the global community, the Harvards, the Stanford. I think then they still had mainly the university communities. And there was nothing about Uganda. But we had, started joining. And I remember telling the lady, the computer lab attendant, hey, asking her if she knew how to build websites. And she told me she did. Then I tasked her of, can we build our own platform? So there's been several, experiences that have inspired this love for technology. But I think the most recent one was really just getting to learn about them, getting knowledge about how impactful these platforms are. I remember listening to Jack Ma, and he talked about how Alibaba serves over 700 million users in a month. For me, that blew my mind. That's the whole Africa. If we're trying to solve
Mhm.
these problems on the continent, there is a platform that can actually get all the 700 and serve them. So for me, it was
Yeah.
just the potential of this technology that we're talking about that really excited me to get in and try to simplify it and build a product around it for the communities to use. Yeah.
I've heard this line and you've said it. Mars, here we come,
Yeah.
2030.
Yeah.
You taking us to Mars?
We are definitely going to go to Mars. So how we came up with it, when we started, I remember our first customers, it took us 4 months to get our first customers, and there were about four. And after that, we launched weekly trips and would take these guests in vans. Uh, Shortly, we started doing coasters, and filling up the coasters. And then we started doing the big buses. And I remember one moment that stood out. We did about 320 guests in one day. And I remember I was so excited by it. And I remember telling the team, what else can we do? And during that time, Uganda Airlines had just launched. So there's something I believe. I always like to do the hardest things because I know the hardest things are going to draw people who have the hunger for, great work and. So I told them, let's attempt to fill up Uganda Airlines during this time because everyone on media was, writing negative stuff about it, saying how Uganda doesn't have the capacity to manage an airline. And we thought we could be different. We could just say, hey guys, let's fill up Uganda Airlines. So I designed a trip, went over to the Uganda Airlines office and told them, hey, I want to book an airline, for our travel. They told me, okay, it's called chartering, but it's $30,000. And at that time, we had never made that kind of money. And I thought that dream was not going to happen. And as I was walking out, I thought to myself, but people normally buy a seat. You just buy a ticket for your seat. How about if we set the date a little far, in time, so that we have like 3-4 months, and we market like crazy so that we get as many people and we keep buying these seats. By the time that time comes, we have probably filled up the entire plane. So that's what we chose to do. And we got about 20 people, which was really exciting. And so we had filled up the vans, the coasters, the buses, the airline. We couldn't, but like we had gotten a big number. The next thing for us to do
Right.
then was a rocket now. So that's how we set the goal to fill up, to do a rocket, a trip to Mars from Africa. And to set a realistic timeline, we set 10 years because that was around 2020. So by 2030, we should. And today, if you ask me, we're going to do it in 3 ways. So one is going to be just talent, exchange, building software that we can, partner with the space agencies. So of which Ugandans are smart, and Ugandans can also build that technology. So we'll be contributing towards Mars exploration. The other part is pushing for construction of landing pads. This is the same thing we've done for aeroplanes. We've never manufactured any aeroplane around Africa. All we've done is simply build concrete airports. They come, land, and take off. So we'll probably build those still. They come, land, and then they go to Mars. But I think to make it more exciting, we are going to attempt and do the third thing, which is build the hardware ourselves. I don't think we're going to live the same 100 years like they put before us of not attempting the hard things. We're going to attempt and build the hardware that we can control from Africa to Mars. So it's within our reach.
When you explain that, there's a lot of people, and I know on the internet or people who are tuning in this podcast, but I am a person who has grown up to learn anything is impossible. And that's a line my dad told me, nothing is impossible to a willing heart. He told that to me like probably 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know what that meant until I lived it.
Oh, wow.
I was 8 years old. I told my dad, I want to fly a plane and I want to fix an airplane. I was in Uganda in the village in Wakiso.
Can you imagine? Oh, I even have chills. Can you imagine? Oh, wow.
Somebody told me in the comments that I should stop talking about my stories on a podcast, but I told him this is my podcast. I do what I want. And it's part of he commented on YouTube. He's like, you should leave the guests to talk about all their stories. You're not the guest. And I commented, I was like, I appreciate your feedback, but this is my podcast and it's a conversation. Going back to the conversation, I was 8 years old. I told my dad I want to fly a plane and I want to work on an airplane. I'd never been on a plane. I'd never seen a plane besides the ones that are on Entebbe, the old ones that are on the
Aero
when you go in
Beach,
the airport. Yeah, Aero Beach, that one. And long story short, since I want to respect that one person, this is not my story. Today I've flown an airplane. I'm an aircraft mechanic. That's my job. That's my day-to-day job.
Wow.
I wake up, go to the airport, fix airplanes, come back home.
Wow. That's
my living. That's what I do. So when you're talking about Mars, I know there's a lot of people who are going to sit back as like, actually, when I was in senior 6, the teacher was walking around telling people that, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? When he came to me, I was still stuck on my dream. I want to be a pilot and I want to fix airplanes. My whole class laughed at me. Everybody, even my friends, because that was a stupid dream. I didn't know a pilot. I didn't know anybody who has ever fixed a plane. I'd never even touched a working airplane that flies. I'd never touched it. So they had the right to laugh.
Yeah.
But the dream became a reality.
Oh my
And
God.
you don't know how it's going to happen. It happened. So I'm sharing that bit of a story for all the people who had just doubted what you just shared a few minutes ago. That nothing is impossible to a willing heart.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. It's something I resonate with. Even just building a marketplace where we have tens of thousands of people that have directly used it. I started using a computer in my P4. I didn't even use it then. I think in my O-level is when I started using one. I didn't know what it takes to build these platforms. But today we've built that, and so many have believed that it's possible. They've ended up building as well. The Mars thing, I believe it to the core that we're going to do it. We're going to contribute to it, or we're going to share as much information. Someone will pick up on it. But I think we're going to do it. I can't let it pass. Yeah.
I am a believer, and I believe, and so far the work you've done,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the work. I'm proud of the journey that you guys have done. For the part that I'm proud to sit here and
No,
say,
thanks,
hey,
man.
we have this guy in Uganda who has done this. We have this person who has done this. So it makes me proud. And I'm the one person who believes that anything can happen.
Yeah.
And there's no better way to transition to this, to end this podcast through talking about your faith. You
Yeah.
are a person who vocally talk about your faith on Instagram, even here when you're talking about God.
Yeah.
And a lot of your posts on Instagram, they have a line that said, God is the greatest. You even have it in your bio.
Yeah.
What does God mean in your life?
Ah, man, when I look back at the kind of guy I was back in the day, to see that I can do these things, I can sit with kings on the same table, with presidents, with ministers, and like they want to learn something from me. The Bible has made it so clear, your gift will put you on the seat with the kings. And I think for me, God's presence has been everything in my life. Just getting this, because I don't think it's as obvious. I think I'm so lucky. I've been so blessed. And mine is really, if I can just be very thankful to the person that has blessed me. It's really where all my confidence is, honestly. In fact, as long as I have that presence around me, God's presence around me, I shall do everything.
The final question before we get into the final segment: what advice would you give to a young African entrepreneur who wants to build something meaningful, but they're afraid to start?
I think for me, it's just belief. Just get started. My honest belief is, as long as you set aim at the highest possible thing you want to achieve, everything else will align for you to be for it to be a success. And I think for me, where the challenge is now is the pure intentions they have. So someone might want to start because, hey, I've seen Bonnie, I've seen Brian do this. And I take it away from him. Bro, I'll just say Mbanacho. But if you get like a pure mission, why you want to do something and you commit to it, so much will be aligned for you, you will not know how it came into place. Yeah. For me, when I started Tubayo, it was simply the idea was so exciting. I knew it would solve something in our community. I started off with just buying the domain. I was like, at least I can afford the $13. I bought the domain, tubayo.com. Then afterwards, I looked for my family friend who had done computer engineering and computer science. I sat with him, we created like a one-pager. And then I would move everywhere and tell everyone about it. Before you know it, someone else joins. And like that, we've built this complex operation. I think the most advanced AI building in Uganda. And I think even across Africa, because I've been to the other ecosystems, I haven't even seen them get close to the kind of work we've done. And we've been able to build this platform here locally. So I think to the entrepreneur there, just have as much confidence in that idea and go at it. Execute, bro.
Execute, believe in yourself, and start, because nothing will happen if you don't start. Final segment that's called Rapid Fire.
Okay.
Rapid Fire is a segment where I ask you a question. You're just going to tell me the first answer that comes in your head.
Sure.
And to the listeners, it doesn't mean that it's the right answer, but it's the first thing that you thought about. One country you haven't been to, but it's high on your bucket list.
China.
The first thing you would do when you wake up.
Go through my phone.
Most app used on your phone right now. I think I know the answer.
I'm the chief user, so I'm always like making sure the platform is working all the time. All the time,
Yeah. One Ugandan entrepreneur everyone should know about.
Sike Japheth.
If Tubayo had a theme song, what would it be?
Something about love and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, final three. These are three questions that I ask you at the end, and short answers too.
Yeah.
What's a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
You're above every circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing should really define you. You at least you have that power to to define everything about life.
What gets you excited about life?
There's really things I care about, family. So
Mhm.
just really waking up to contribute, to serve, family, community, country, continent. These are things I really want to change and contribute to. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
get up every day to put in the work.
And the final question is a signature question on the podcast is who would you like to see on this podcast next as a guest? And you help me get that person here.
I was gonna say the president, but what are the chances? What are the odds? Let me see. Someone I can help you bring on here. CK, this
Mhm.
is CK Japheth. He's the founder of
Yeah.
Innovation Village and Motive. It's very inspiring in
Nice.
so many ways.
Mhm.
I would honestly love his story to be told. Tubayo is what it is because of
Nice.
because of that guy, and so many other, especially the tech companies. The market
Yeah.
day is possible because of CK. It's crazy. Yeah, I would love for him to.
I have enjoyed having entrepreneurs on my podcast here. It's great conversation. It's not a conversation we usually have a lot
Yeah,
because mostly people who are in here like entertainment and stuff. But I
Yeah.
love to sit down to talk about entrepreneur
Yeah.
because it's people need to learn about these things. So people need to know about these things, not only just the music and the comedy. I think I had Geoffrey Tawazi.
Mutawazi. Yeah, he's an interesting, really
Yeah,
cool
I had
guy.
Tawazi in here, and then you, and then I had this another entrepreneur from Rwanda, Yusuf Ntwali. He was in here to talk about the entrepreneurship in Rwanda and then Uganda. And he was in Uganda visiting.
Oh,
for that.
nice.
So it's been an amazing conversation. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. Thanks, Brian, for being on the podcast. Thanks for the words you've said. I can't wait for the people to tune in and listen to this podcast when it's ready.
No, I'm excited. And thanks for having me. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey there, my name is Bonnie Chibuka, the podcast host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Also, leave a feedback on this podcast because that's how we grow. Thank you very much and be blessed.
The thing I can tell you that I'm so happy about is that you didn't send any questions.
That's
like
how
I
I've done it.
managed to be relaxed the whole time. You can imagine
Mhm.
how there's just like no time, and then there's like a list of
Yeah.
12 questions to think through. I'm like,
Right.
you know what? We can have a conversation for sure.
I'm trying to change the sort of interview. I want to say Namanya Brian. I send you 10 questions. Hey, bino binjagala okubuuza. No, I want a natural conversation. Like in Z, my job is to do the research. Kiki njagala okubuuza, kiki twagala twogereko. And I run the conversation here. It might seem like it's a freestyle, but it's
you've
like a
made your
planned
work, you've made your
freestyle.
research. Yeah, no.
But I
and
made my
I'll tell you,
research,
I
so-
appreciate that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta take a guest wange
I know. It gives me enough time to focus on my work. On what I know to do. Yeah. My name is Brian Namanya, and I'm the founder and CEO at Tubayo. We're building Africa's digital marketplace for the world, and our mission is to have this solid platform where individuals and businesses can build for success across the continent. And I've just been hosted by Bonnie, exciting podcast. We talked about so much. We talked about our mission, the purpose, why we get to serve individuals, businesses, schools, community, country. And we talked about also how we're going to make it possible to do a trip to Mars by 2030. It's a wonderful podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to listen and watch. No, but bro, thank you so much. And I have so much love for your work. It's crazy. Just I don't know how, but just keep pushing your thing. It's and thanks for making the time to do this, man. Yeah, I'll pray TikTok pays more. Otherwise, you should just come into TikTok and Instagram. I pray they pay more so that you do a lot of this. Yeah. This love that you have for your work has no price. That's like I could feel it when I first came through. I'm like, this guy I gotta change, And it's in the smallest ways. It's not that you have to build, I don't know, but yeah. Not about the love. I'm like, this one you can't even put a price to it.